Well, now we welcome back Catherine Sherwood, Director from The Engine, who's joined by a provider to The Engine, Lindsay Fisher, Client Relationship Manager for Scottish Pacific, to look at an option for small business owners to plug those cash flow shortfalls. Good morning to you both. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Callie.
Catherine, many small businesses right now are struggling with cash flow as they wait to be paid on invoices owing. So tell us about invoice financing as being a funding option.
Well, Callie, that's a really good question. I've actually been on both sides of the fence of invoice funding. I was actually a lender and an auditor many decades ago, and I've also been a client. For me, the best part of being a client was that the funding isn't indexed to my personal assets. It's linked to the invoice, and so between a business and a debtor, the relationship stays with them. I thought I'd bring along Lindsay Fisher, Client Relationship Manager, because he's the expert specialist funder in this area, and hopefully he knows his stuff.
Yeah, let's talk to you, Lindsay. Let's bring you into the conversation because I see Scottish Pacific helps businesses drive cash flow through invoice funding. Would you please elaborate this more and share with our audience what kind of funding Scottish Pacific provides to NZ SMEs?
Sure. So Scottish Pacific provides Invoice Finance, which may also be known as Debtor Finance. So Invoice Finance is where we can give a business up to 80% of the value of their sales ledger upfront. And they receive the remaining 20% less any fees when their customer pays the invoice. So this gives the business immediate access to their sales proceeds to drive the business forward, rather than having to wait weeks or even months for their clients to pay them.
So Lindsay, what are Scottish Pacific's products and point of difference in the market? What kind of industry or business types do you look for invoice funding?
So with our Invoice Finance facility, the facility itself works like a business overdraft. It's for businesses that sell products or services to other businesses. So it's really in the B2B space. So manufacturing, recruitment, labour hire, wholesaling, transport, logistics, they're some of the well-suited industries for Invoice Finance. And what sets us apart really is our security requirements and our flexibility. So for our business finance, we don't require property or asset security. We take security over the client's sales ledger itself. So for startup businesses, for high growth, and if those businesses don't have sufficient or they don't have any assets to secure a bank facility, we're a great option for them. Also, our lending grows in line with the client's sales ledger. So if they're growing their business, growing their sales, the facility, the lending it provides grows right alongside it. And you don't have to go and find other security to increase your limit. It just goes with you.
Well, we all know that money is what keeps businesses trading. It's pretty hard to come by sometimes. So Catherine, why would you recommend this as an option for businesses? Because is it expensive?
Well, I can't talk about the expensive aspect. All I can say is that we're not a financial advisor at the Engine, but everything is relative when it comes to borrowing. It's naturally going to cost you more when you're lending without security. I mean, that's just a fact. But the benefit of invoice funding is you can go to sleep, knowing that, you don't have your personal assets on the line, and you can use it as a stopgap filler, or better still, for continuous growth. Right now, to say the current environment is challenging for small businesses would be an understatement. In my mind, the finance industry needs to rally together and be prepared to support and educate SMEs and the opportunities debt can bring.
Lindsay, just like what Catherine alluded to there, the current environment is characterised by uncertainty and conservatism. It's challenging to say the least. How does it present an opportunity for Scottish Pacific? And maybe you could share an example of how Scottish Pacific has helped a business during these times.
Absolutely. So we've got a relatively recent client. They're a husband and wife team, and they started a labour hire business just before COVID-19 hit. So they had been in that industry for a while. They had good knowledge and good experience in that space, but they didn't have any startup capital or any assets. So with labour hire, you pay your contractors every week. So you've got people out on sites, and they're on a weekly wage. So you need certainty that you're going to be able to pay that wages bill every week, while you may be waiting for your customers to pay you the following month. So with our Invoice Finance facility, they had that certainty from the start, without having to find $30,000 or $40,000 of startup capital to get the business up and running. We funded them from day one, and they continue to grow that business now. And they know that they'll always be able to pay the most important bill for any labour hire firm, which is those wages.
Oh, that's great. Catherine, tell us how a business advisor can assist a business to find out about invoice funding.
Well, firstly, business advisors need to know what's available in that finance sector for businesses. I believe a good advisor like the Engine will uncover the needs, the risk profile, and we can provide impartial and professional advice. We're not Scottish specific, but we know what they offer. And certainly when COVID hit, the banks, the finance companies, everybody just kind of went to a grinding halt, but people still needed to continue to do business. For us to be able to provide impartial and professional advice, this in itself is more necessary now than it's ever been, particularly to businesses seeking funding for the first time ever or looking to establish the right long-term finance structure. For example, they've taken a government-backed loan and that's going to need to be repaid. Scottish Pacific have been trusted financiers in the New Zealand Australian market for 30 years. They're professional, personable, and we at the Engine trust to recommend them. So that in itself speaks volume.
Absolutely. Gee, we've all learnt so much about something called invoice financing today. I've got 2 small businesses, didn't know that this was an option. So what do businesses do next, Lindsay, if they're interested in this form of lending?
Absolutely. Well, what we normally suggest is they can reach out to an advisor or someone like the Engine to get some advice on it. They can come through to us themselves if they want further information. At the moment, in response to COVID-19 and the tough environment out there, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for businesses to access working capital. So right now we have no monthly minimum fees on our facilities, and we also don't have any lock-in contracts. So it's something that you can walk away from with 7 days notice if it's not working for your business, because we know it is tough to commit to the next 6 or 12 months because no one knows what that's going to look like. So we've made those adjustments in response to the current environment.
Thank you both so much. Great advice today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to get in touch with Catherine or Lindsay and the team at The Engine, just go to the website theengine.biz.